Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Dr. Paul. Thank you for joining me for another podcast. This is Blogcast Weekly and Wednesday Weekly. So I do have Blogcasts I just do weekly, and then I do have Bridges Live, and then I do have Weekly Wednesday. Weekly Wednesday is always a short podcast, but I just get into the meat and the gritty of things. I'd like to say blessings and loves to all of you. I know everyone is going through some things, and we all will get through it as long as we push on through. But this is what this podcast is about. It's about being prepared, preparation, and perception. They're not all the same, and they will not all get you there. Now, let's take this in a row or a line or something that's very succinctly so we don't get so convoluted in the conversation. Preparation, to prep for an action, means you are constantly in the midst of organizing, trying to do, training for, not knowing what may come. So if you look for, and we have to send some blessings out for many things that are happening, especially when it comes to natural disasters and weathers. There's nothing we can really do. Weather is just what happens. So if we want to prepare for a storm, we are gathering supplies. We are boarding up our windows. We are making sure we have clean water, canned food, being prepared. We still don't know if the storm will hit us as hard as we think it will, but we could be prepared. And if the storm never comes, you're just prepared. Now, even when the storm passes, if you stay in constant preparation, that means you don't believe what you are doing is good enough. I'll say that again. What you are doing, you don't believe it is good enough, so you're constantly being in preparation. And that's the significance of that. Not believing, having faith that what you are doing is good enough. Prepared. Being prepared is stopping the education process. Prepared is stopping the education process, because that's when you believe that's what you have done is all you need to do. What you have done thus far is all what you need to do to get you through the next, or through the storm, if we keep using the storm as a metaphorical phrase that we're using right now. Because all things could be considered to be a storm, and that goes into the perception. What are you living in? Is it a storm? Is it your perception? That is what you are constantly thinking it is? If everything happens that goes on is a storm for you, then you're constantly in trauma and turmoil. So how do we separate all these things and say, hey, Dr. Paul, I like to be prepared, and I like to have preparation, because you talked about training before and practice before. Isn't that preparation? Isn't that being prepared? And you've also talked about perception and how we need to change the way we think, and because it changes the vibration in our bodies and how our bodies react and the sicknesses it can cause. Yes, I've done all that, and we've talked about all that. So here's how we separate through those weeds. Trust in the action. Have faith in your strength of your Almighty, that you are in line with what you are doing at the time you are doing it. See, now it goes back into who you are, what you are, when you are. Is to trust, have faith, and belief in the alignment of what you're doing and where you are. Stages. I think if I can make this even more simpler, stop being stuck in one action. Preparation, prepared, perception. Now, perception, if we clear up our hearts and our minds and our souls, we won't see everything as a storm. Okay, so that's one. Prepared. We just won't stop there. We'll continue to move forward in our progressiveness of growth and spirituality and mind and the human spirit. Preparation. We're just not always gathering and being a nervous person that is always worried about what is and what could come and what it could be. So if you separate all those things out and have your faith, your belief, your love, and the alignment of what you are, who you are, when you are in your journey, then those things separate. Very quick blockcast, weekly podcast, a weekly Wednesday. Remember, I'd like to thank all my sponsors and all the people who listen to Dr. Paul on Weekly Wednesday, Blockcast Week, and then Bridges Live. So, figure out, write it down, cry it out, that are you constantly staying stuck in one of those three, or are you moving through? Now, there is a continuous yin and yang. It circles. At one time, you have preparation. At one time, you're prepared. At one time, you see things a certain way. And then you move. And then it circles. But it doesn't circle back in the same orbital constellation or over the same thing. It moves through as a circling, rolling down, like a ball rolling down the hill. The ball rolls and it turns, but it doesn't stay in the same spot on the hill. It moves down. And if you keep circling over the same thing, over the same action, over the same thoughts, then you're not moving anywhere, but you're constantly turning over and over and over. That's different. We want to move forward. If you constantly think that what is happening to you is the same thing, it seems like before and sounds like before, and this is what I thought I heard, and this is what I think it is, and this is what I'm trying to overcome, and this is what I've been trying. It just sounds so hostile. Sounds like you're angry at something. Sounds like you have not released something. Sounds like you're holding on to things, instead of just enjoying the joy, belief, faith, love. Right? So, take your time. Understand if you are in preparation. Okay. Do you understand? Are you in being prepared? Because you're there. Understand what your perceptions are. Okay. But if you're not moving through that, and it's constantly the same thing going through and through and through over the same action and perception and prospects, well, you're not rolling forward. And if that's not moving forward, then that's where things become very stagnant, right? Things become very unmovable. And then that's when the storm hits you. And that's when it overtakes you. I love you all. God bless. And I'm glad you listened to Blockcast Weekly Wednesday.